Hello, hello, hello. What is going on, everybody? This is Dr. Stevie Aisha Mills. Super excited to be here with you for another episode of The Conversation with Stevie. This is the place where we uncover the why of what people do. And y'all know I do my best to bring you the best. And I think I always rise to the occasion. So today is no different. Just to introduce myself, I am Dr. Stevie, and I do help women business owners to create an online business that honors their values so that they can live a life that they absolutely positively love. Oh my goodness. And today we have the awesome and amazing Faith Clarke with us. I cannot wait to get into this conversation. But first off, welcome Faith to the conversation with Stevie.
Hey,
Hi.
Stevie, thank you. This is
You're
awesome.
so welcome. Yay. Listen. I met you earlier this year and you were such an amazing person. I am super excited we get to have this conversation today. And I would love for you to go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody here.
Thank you. So I'm Faith Clarke, and it's always hard to introduce myself because I'm a mommy, I'm a business owner, I teach, I advocate for autism and special needs. But in my professional space, I help teams build their teamwork in ways that are deeply human and values driven and level up their productivity while honoring all the ways that they're human. So I help business leaders create the workflow that really makes sense for their business.
Oh my goodness. I love that. Create the workflow that makes sense for their business. Oh my gosh. I love all that you said. I really do. I love the fact that you are creating a workflow because I know as a parent, I don't have any babies, but as a parent, I know a lot of parents. And I love the fact that you're helping them to do this thing called ease and grace in life. Because guess what? Sometimes we can look at somebody else's life and business and feel like we have to do all those things. But
Have to do
I
it the
tell
way
people,
they think. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
I always say, listen, it's your business, run it like it is. So I just
Mm-hmm.
want you to talk about that a little bit more about how you give yourself permission to do it the way you want.
Yeah, so as I listened to you introduce yourself, as you said, helping women build the business that honors their values, I think one of the things that we have to be paying attention to is this deep knowledge of ourselves that sometimes we deny, right? Like the world around us has kind of taught us to pay attention to the outside, to serve whoever is on the outside. And so many women business owners have not really honored their own values. And so part of how I help women leaders, especially as they're leading their teams, is to start with themselves and massively include what they want, who they are. I use personality profiles. I help people really tune in on a deep level to their own individual difference. My son has autism, and part of what I've had to do is to understand him in a deep way, but understand myself in a deep way so I could figure out what the parenting relationship needs to be like, because it can't be like what they teach in books about autism. It has to be about who Faith is deeply and then who Jaden, my son, is. And so I translate this into the business space. Every business leader needs this deep understanding of themselves, but then every team member needs this deep understanding of themselves. And then the workflow that we create that really honors that deep understanding is the synergy of all of it. It's really what inclusion is about, right? Understanding each other and then building the bridges and building the connections with that deep understanding.
I love it because if you can understand yourself, you can understand anything. And I love the fact because yes, we can read a lot of books on a lot of things. And I know that there are a lot of books and studies and different things on autism, but I love that you said that you need to do it, raise your amazing son in the way in which you need to. And that is incredible because of the fact that it's the truth. We have to learn to give ourselves permission about life and to stand up and step up and understand that this is personal.
Yep.
So how did you get into not only doing it for yourself, which is a huge accomplishment in itself, because you had to give yourself permission to do it and to say, hey, I know y'all may be having expertise in this, but I have to run it and own it my way. But to also transition to help other people do it for their own lives and businesses.
One of the things I noticed, Stevie, as I was doing it for myself, the reason I was doing it is because it wasn't being done around me, right? So I had to figure out how to parent and support my son in the way that made sense for our family. And as I did that, people would ask me, how am I doing that? So my very first business was monetizing my own approach to understanding my son and training caregivers to understand him and so on. And then as I did that, I noticed other women who had kids with special needs or who had family members with other issues, or even their own chronic illness, having to start businesses because the workforce didn't fit them. And as I supported these women in their own like business design the business in a way that works for your chronic illness, design the business in a way that works for your life as a parent of people with complex needs. As I did that, I noticed that these people also are trying to create space for difference in their own businesses. So it became a natural progression. How do we build businesses that holds space for our individuality, that honors us and our values and the complexities of our lives? And then as an expansion of that, create a model for including people who are different, right? Because we don't fit the workforce for the reasons that we don't, but we can fit in a workforce if the workforce was different. So how do we design the businesses that would create space for moms who don't sleep at night because their kid is up all night, or for caregivers of elderly people with dementia, or for a person who is bipolar and supporting their own mental health? Like, how do we build businesses that includes all the ways that we're human, that it became an extension of the initial idea of, let me create a business that includes me?
Wow, I love everything you're saying, because humanness is something that we all have to realize we are.
That's right.
We have to realize that we are uniquely built in the fact to be human, and no matter what kind of life circumstances we have thrown at us, we are still human,
We're
and
just
we have our
people,
own
right? Yep.
nuances, and we have all the stuff that we have to go through and get through. And being human means being real, not perfect. So I love it. I don't subscribe to any type of perfection. I am not perfect. I strive to do my best, but nobody is perfect. We are all human. And so I love this empire that you're creating. And what is one way we can dig deeper, even as we leave this conversation today? What would be that one thing you said we can automatically get into the mindset of accepting our humanness today?
Yeah, I think that all of us have something about ourselves that we don't accept. You know, we see acceptance as some kind of compromise. Many of us have been told that no, accepting things means compromise. But I'm talking about offering that part of ourselves deep love. And I think we won't be able to accept in other people. We won't be able to include people who are different from us if we can't include and accept the things about us that we are kind of like, ooh, I don't like that, you know. And so I tend to ask people to start with, there's one thing about you right now that you've been ignoring, that you don't bring to the table at all, that you think is too much, too big, too small, too ugly, too whatever it is. I know a team leader, for example, that does not take information well auditorily, like through being spoken to, but doesn't let that be seen on their team. And so then they struggle on their own to get the information they need in the way that they need it. And I'm like, let's bring that to the table and say, hey, listen, all this talking isn't the way I take information in. How can we work together? And I think once we're willing to include ourselves in our own lives, one aspect of yourself, just love on it some more, we are in a better place to accept people who are different, whether ethnically, all the different ways that we exclude people right now in our communities. we're in a better place to include those people if we can offer that grace to ourselves first.
And the beauty of what you just said is a lot of times when we are willing to be vulnerable and say, hey, this is not for me, or what have you, there are other people who will step up and say, it wasn't for me either.
Absolutely. We model that. And then when we include ourselves, we give people permission to bring their full selves to the table. And then the thing we create together is not cookie cutter anymore. It's actually beautiful and reflective of actual humans versus some, kind of strict idea of what being professional and being human in the workplace or whatever is supposed to be.
I could listen to you speak all day. One, because you have such a breadth of knowledge, and two, because I just love your accent. I love your accent.
Thank you.
You're welcome. One of the things I love asking our guests, and this is literally what I'm going to ask you, is a fill in the blank question. So it goes, Dr. Stevie, we cannot leave this conversation today without your listeners knowing, and fill in the blank.
We cannot leave this conversation today without your listeners knowing that we can't have true diversity in our workplaces and in our communities until we get true inclusion. That means deep acceptance of difference. That means a deep ability to appreciate differences in ourselves and in our family members, and be able to build that together in a way that we all can thrive. Forget diversity if we can't work on inclusion first.
Love that so much. Oh my goodness. This has been such a transformative conversation. And I just want to ask a bonus question before we get your contact information. I believe you would have an excellent answer for this. I just feel it in my spirit. So I want to ask this question. And what is your favorite quote or something that you stand upon or live by?
I don't want to be cliche, but I do believe in the do to others what you'd want done to you. But I don't believe in it in a literal way. I believe in really stepping into the skin of other people and looking out through their eyes, and because that's what you would have wanted. I want people to look at my situation from my perspective and understand me from my perspective. And so I do believe in the do unto others, if we're willing to not just cookie cutter give to others what we give to ourselves, but we're really willing to stand in other people's skins and then give to others what we see that they need, because that's what we would have wanted.
Oh my goodness, I love that so much. So Faith, thank you for being here. I definitely want you to give us your contact information.
FaithClarke.com is a great way to be in touch with me. And in social, I'm all over. So search for Faith Clarke or Faith A. Clarke in IG or Facebook, and email faith@melodyofautism.com.
Awesome. So today, you all, we have heard from the awesome and amazing Faith Clarke. Y'all need to get connected to her. She just gave her contact information, and it's super important that you get connected to her, because I love the way that she is redefining the way we work. That is important, because we don't want to be a society of boring people. Like, if we are all trying to be in perfection, or all trying to hide what makes us different, and not be inclusive to every part of us, then that would be so boring. But we want to stand out from the crowded marketplace in all things that we do. So I am Dr. Stevie Aisha Mills. This has been The Conversation with Stevie. To find me, you just literally have to know how to spell my first name, Stevii. And you can find me all over social media. You can find me, of course, at The Conversation with Stevie. And if you are looking to learn how to take your online business to the next level and make six figures like I did last year in the midst of the pandemic, then you definitely want to go to clickthecashnow.com. And again, clickthecashnow.com. And you want to make sure that you are getting my latest book, Click to Cash. It has my 7 proven strategies about how I made 6 figures last year. So it's hot and fresh off the press. I always end everything I do the same way by saying, make it a great day. Don't have a great day. Make it a great day. Why? Because you, and of course, yes, all y'all listening today too, have the power to do so. Bye for now.